All right. Good evening, everybody. This is the most unique banquet I have ever been a part of. I've been doing this for 20 years as a coach and an athletic director. The past 12 as the athletic director, and I've never had a banquet where we didn't have food. So it's not really even a banquet. It's a recognition ceremony instead. But of course, in the day and ages that we live in now, everything, literally every aspect of our lives are affected by COVID, and this is no exception. So honestly, looking at it in an optimistic light, I'm just glad that we could be here. We weren't able to have our winter banquets this past school year. We weren't able to have a spring season this past school year. This fall was dicey. Our volleyball team knows that very well. But again, if you look at things optimistically, guys, and sometimes you just have to, we were able to have a season. We were able to have this banquet tonight. When I was sitting out in the Commons, I got a text that one of the football teams on the west side of the state that was a contender for a state championship has just forfeited the rest of their season. So those kind of things, you know, we're experiencing these setbacks, we're experiencing these obstacles and these letdowns. But the comforting part is we're not the only one. We're not the only ones having to go through this. And at some point, this will all pass, and we'll still all be here, and we'll still all be together. And one thing they couldn't take away from us was the ability to play it, and the camaraderie, and the wins, and the goals that we met, and everything else this season. So with that being said, thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate your cooperation and understanding with all the changes that we've had to have so far with this banquet, and you'll see that this is going to be a very unique one. First of all, we don't have our cross-country team here. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it tonight, which on the bright side will make for a shorter banquet, but on the other hand, we'd love to have them here so we could recognize and appreciate their accomplishments this season as well. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and invite Reagan Nagger up to the podium, and she's going to do our prayer for tonight. So, Reagan, the spotlight is yours. Don't fall down. All right.
Good evening. We gather here tonight to reflect upon the talents that we've been given and that we have used and enjoyed through our sports program. We ask you to continue to bless our principals, teachers, coaches, and all our family and friends as they guide us in the continuing of the development of these talents.
Thank you, Reagan. And this is the time that I would normally make a lot of people happy and a lot of people mad at me because they would either get to eat first or eat last. But everybody gets to be mad at me tonight because nobody gets to eat. Sorry. Introduction of coaches. I want to go ahead and introduce the coaches that we do have here this evening. Starting to my far left, we have our volleyball coaches. We've got our first-year JV volleyball coach, Mr. Tyson Roth. To his right, we have our brand-new head volleyball coach, Carla Basler. To her right, we have our brand-new freshman coach, and that is Mariah Ritter. A brand-new staff, but a great staff. And then to the table, the unlucky one that has to sit by me all night, that is our head girls golf coach, Rachel McDaniel. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll start with the girls golf program, and ladies, we'll have, as the coaches talk about the sports, they will call you up on stage. Please be careful coming up because it's a quick turn there, a sharp turn. A lot of you guys have heels on. Be careful. Look down at your feet if you have to. We won't make fun of you as much as we would if you fell. So make sure you're careful coming up those steps. So without any further ado, Coach McDaniel, you get to go first.
I never thought I would get to stand up here and talk behind this podium, so this is already exciting for me. So yay COVID, I guess. I'm looking at the positive side of things. First, I'd like to make a bunch of thank yous. First, to the district for the opportunity to represent. Most girls in our area don't get to play on a dedicated sports team, and I sit on the Mission Advisory Committee for golf, and I represent the Southeast District, and I represent 4 teams, including ours. So the fact that we even have a program and get to represent in itself is a great opportunity. I'd also like to thank Dr. Nix and the athletic department. There was one week this year where I called him, and we had so many X-outs and moves and cross-outs and cancellations that the original practice schedule I'd sent him with all our tournaments had changed in some way or shape, and all we could do was just laugh. But still, our season was packed with a lot of competitions, and I think we only had one thing canceled when it was all said and done. So we had a full schedule despite COVID, and I know that was due to the hard work that Dr. Nix and the athletic department does, so I appreciate that. The SGHS faculty and staff, it's no secret, my golfers miss a lot of class. They miss a lot of school, and that doesn't offend anybody else more than it offends them, because they're the ones that talk about their schoolwork all the way to a match and all the way back from a match. And I've coached boys golf, and that same discussion does not happen. So I know our teachers are working double time to try and keep up with as much as they're gone, and I appreciate them doing all of that so that my girls could compete this season. Chad Shilley in the golf course. Chad Shilley really got behind us when we said I wanted to do a junior camp, and for the past 3 years our numbers have increased because he's embraced juniors, and we continue to see that junior camp grow in size. And then on top of that, he's just very accommodating when we want to change practice or we want to move a meet or we want to increase amount of teams. He's very accommodating and always pushing for us to host more things, so a big thank you to him and his staff. The community center, Brad Arnold and Brian Geck, we now have an indoor practice facility if the weather is not favorable. And in the past, we were just kind of stuck inside my classroom going over rule stuff or putting on tile, and that's not really ideal. So now we actually have net systems, and they're working with us so we can practice not only during our season, but now in the off season, so a big thank you to them. My parents are now retired, and their big dream was that they were going to work all of the district and state golf tournaments, and they both got to market districts this year. And I know they said it was a joy for them, but really finding markers is really hard, so a big thank you to them too. Eric Vaccaro and the Herald, David Shaw and the Maritime staff for their coverage, KTJJ, J98, Sun-Times, Daily Journal. I came from a town where golf wasn't a front page sport, but here sometimes it is, and that's really great. So I appreciate all their coverage and making us feel like rock stars. Ryan Mueller, he's my unpaid volunteer assistant coach who stepped up and covered me last year when I was on maternity leave. He shows up to as much as he can, and I just am so grateful for the things not only he brings to me as a coach, but to the girls. I couldn't do it without his support, and I'll get more on him later. My husband, I'm not going to call him Mr. Mom because that's not how we've ever rolled with our child. He's just a rock star dad, and he just had to step up and take on some extra responsibility so I could coach. And the fact that he could step up so I could step away and coach, I'm just so grateful for that because I know it's a big time commitment that we both feel strongly about. So great big thank you to him. And then my parents, I know this is weird to you, but golf is not highly attended. But my parents show up in force, and there doesn't go a match where they're not there. And this year was a little weird because there were some places where parents were not welcome just because of different COVID relations where we were playing. And our parents still tried to find a way to be there and support the players and support the team. And so I thank you guys for being the rock stars that you are. And then my players, I asked you to take all these extra precautions so that we could have a full season, and you did it. You played a full season because you stepped up and said, I'll do the ridiculous things so I can be here. I'll wear the masks on the bus, coach. I'll wear the mask in the van, even though we all looked silly riding in the mask in the van when people are passing us on the highway. But you did it, and we got to play a full season. And not only that, I wasn't sure what it was going to be like to come back from maternity leave, and coach. And if you wouldn't have been the players that you were, I couldn't have done it. So thank you for making this season and making it worthwhile to say, yeah, I'll take 2 hours, 4 hours away from my baby to be with you guys. So thank you for that. I didn't think I was going to cry, gosh. Being a mom, though. So our season was extraordinary for a lot of reasons. And first and foremost is that we were not unscathed by COVID-19. Coach Mueller and I were both quarantined at separate times. Thankfully not at the same time, and there was a small interruption in our coaching, but it didn't get into our players. Like, they were able to social distance, they took all the extra precautions and doing what was necessary so we could have a full season. Second, we achieved so much this season. Not only did we break a school record, we broke 2.5 of our 4 team goals, and we'll have to wait until the spring to see if we met our last one. We're goal setters. I make the girls sit down as a team, and set goals not only individually, but as a team. These are mostly golf goals, and I always make them set one academic goal, which I kind of strong arm them on. And we set 3 golf goals this year. They wanted to shoot 193 as a team in a 9-hole match. They wanted to shoot 450 as a team in an 18-hole tournament, and they wanted to go 1 whole round without anyone being negative. Our academic goal was to receive a MSHA Team Academic Distinction Award, but we won't know about that till the spring. So I chose not to have our season records printed in the program you have because those numbers don't do our season justice. And I'd like to explain. Our 9-hole match record was 1-8. 1-8. We won 1 match. To give some context, we played Jackson in every single 9-hole match. I told you I represent 4 teams, and Jackson is one of those in the Southeast District because outside of St. Louis, there are us, Jackson, and Cape Notre Dame, and Farmington. Everybody else is out of St. Louis. So Jackson was on every single match we played. They are a Class 4 school, whereas we are Class 2 in girls golf, and they won their district and then went on to finish 6th in the state, respectively. But we shattered the 9-hole team score record by 4 strokes this season, shooting 189 in our last match of the season. Last year, our best 9-hole team score was 201. So our team goal for this year was to shoot 193. So team goal number 1 accomplished with a cherry on top because we got to break the school record. Our 18-hole tournament record was 18-20. Last year, we shot 464 as a team, so our team goal this year was to shoot 450 as a team. We placed 4th in the St. Clair Invitational, shooting 447, and we tied for 6th at the district golf tournament, shooting 450, which made us the top public school finisher in our district. Goal number 2 accomplished, twice and then some. The truly impressive part was that the St. Clair Invitational and the district golf tournament were played on the same exact course, but the St. Clair Invitational had perfect golf weather and a 10-stroke limit per hole, and the district was cold and windy, and there was no stroke limit. So to shoot our team goal of 450, only 3 strokes higher than that St. Clair Invitational when the stakes were high and the conditions were unfavorable, speaks volumes about this team. So my hesitation with printing our record numbers should hopefully make a little more sense, because if you based our season solely off those numbers, you would think it's a mediocre season at best. But in all seriousness, with all the things considered, we had a banner season. One of the most successful seasons in program history as far as records, team goals, or team improvement goes. Our 3rd team goal was to go 1 whole round without any negative comments. If you play golf, you know that this is tough. And I have to laugh because Coach Mueller was in that meeting and he was like, I just want you to go 1 whole round without crying. And I feel it's better saying that now that there's only girl sport players in here. And I joke because you guys must have really scarred him last year when I was gone. And I remember those phone calls. But I'm going to give us half met on that goal. That's why I say 2.5. This improved drastically from last season and even from the beginning of the season. I think each golfer individually improved on eliminating negativity from their golf games because I think they started to understand how it permeates everything you do on the golf course. Suddenly they understood the purpose behind all the silly things that Coach Mueller and I do on the golf course to make them laugh. I mean, I think I've made Brooke Turner a heart out of athletic tape on her golf bag. Seriously, silly things. Coach Mueller can dance and tell terrible jokes, but really it was just to get them out of their own heads and to prevent the negativity. I've coached girls golf for 6 years now, and I can truly say this team was balanced in its effort because all the girls were shooting around the same scores in matches and tournaments. Their competitive nature led us to great success. They fought for every stroke for the betterment of the team. I mentioned earlier we beat 1 team in a match, and that was Cape Notre Dame. We actually didn't beat them. We tied them at 215. But you break ties in golf by going to 5th score. So you play 5 or 6 golfers and you keep 4 scores. It came down to our 5th golfer. And our 5th golfer bested their 5th golfer by 4 strokes. So again, it's like it finally clicked that we don't give up after 1 bad shot or 1 bad hole or 1 bad break, that every shot matters. So now I want to talk about them so you guys can stare at them instead of me. First, I want to bring up sophomore Mia Schweigert. Sly shirt. Come on. Come on. I'm calling her Sly Shirt because you want to talk about her name getting messed up at every golf tournament. My goodness, misspelled, mispronounced. Mia was plagued with a back injury for a lot of our season. You all follow, you all see the pattern here, right? Okay. She was playing with a back injury for a lot of our season. It wasn't the season we had planned for her. She showed great promise, though, in competition. She shot 67 in her first match of the season and shot 60 in her last match of the season. The potential is there. I know if Mia sticks with golf and works in the off-season and we can work through her back injury, the scores will be even lower next season. Ava Meyer, lemon. A Meyer lemon is what you use to make desserts because people think that lemons are supposed to be sour, but the Meyer lemon is sweet. So don't be fooled. Ava had a great sophomore season for us this year. After shooting 136 on 18 holes last year, she led the team at the Washington Invitational shooting 101. She posted a 52 for 9 holes at home versus Jackson, an 18-stroke difference from last year for 9 holes. She has quite a bit of softball left in her golf swing that we can't seem to work out, or work out consistently, but when we do, man, can she smack the golf ball. I believe with some practice in the off-season and some dedicated golf swing work, Ava can find the consistency we're going to need from her going into her junior season. Lainey Yamnitz, pressure cooker, yams. She probably doesn't want me to call her pressure cooker, but Coach Mueller called her that because under pressure, it's how she thrived. And I called her yams, so we kind of went back and forth on what it was. She had a phenomenal rookie season. I kept hearing that Lainey wanted to play golf. I heard that she had been practicing all summer and was seeing a swing coach. And then she came to practice, and wow, she is a natural. She spent a lot of time outside of practice and after practice working on her game in her backyard, and it showed. Lainey went from 67 in her first 9-hole match of the season to shooting 46 to win our last match of the season, which led our team to setting a new 9-hole team school record. It's amazing what swinging the golf club outside of practice will do for your score. Lainey had a strong showing at districts, only missing the cut for state tournament by 5 strokes. With continued work in the offseason, Lainey will be a strong contributor for our 2021 squad. Now to my juniors, Maggie, Miracle, Marge. I don't have a backstory on Marge. It's just Etta Heller came to practice calling her that, and it stuck, so we've all called her that ever since. She's been playing golf for me since her freshman year and has made several gains each season, and this season is no different. However, she had an up and down junior season. Some days everything was clicking, and she was shooting 52 for 9 holes. Other days, small things would be off, and her score would shoot up. Her 252s beat her lowest round 9-hole score from last year, 57, and she lowered her best 18-hole round by 20 strokes, shooting 112 this year at the St. Clair individual just outside of individually placing. Like her sophomore teammates, Maggie's game will take off and become more consistent with some off-season work before her senior season when we will need her to step up in some big ways. Reagan Nagger, Oregano, Lego My Rego, the Reganator. As you can tell, Reagan's name was really easy to play with, and so we did. Reagan battled some back issues all season, and you could tell by her face and her body language it was bothering her, but she didn't complain nearly as much as I thought she should have, given the discomfort she was truly in. Despite her back issues, Reagan was a solid contributor for the varsity team all season. When she was feeling good, I could rely on Reagan to come in around the mid-50s with her lowest round in the first home match of the season at 51. I'm hopeful with a healthy back and some work in the off-season, Reagan will come back and help lead this team to a season of success as a senior. I feel like I need to give Reagan a gift. Reagan gives me so many gifts during the season because she has this well-timed sarcasm and one-liners that I would go home and then I would realize how funny it was and I'd be laughing more later than I was at practice. And she thought she was funny and she'd hand me range balls at practice and be like, hey, did you see that shot? Gift to remember me by, and hand me the golf ball as we were picking them up, which she thought was funny, and she told me to keep it in the cart. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll keep them. Well, I got 2 of those, and I thought I should give her one back. So I signed it for you. So joke's on you.
Is it the one that went in the middle, though?
It is the one that went in the middle. She wanted to make sure that it was that one. So that's the ball. You're welcome. Okay. I'm going to talk about Etta Heller. I don't think she's here. Etta? But since I'm being recorded and she can't be here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about her. We called her Feta, or Bubbles. She doesn't want to be called Feta because that's what Coach Mueller called her. So I had to dig a little deeper. And Bubbles is a Powerpuff Girl, for any Powerpuff old cartoon watchers. If you know Bubbles, Bubbles was all sweet and innocent until someone stepped out of line or they crossed her competitively, and then she was ready to do battle. And I felt like that fit Etta perfectly. She's been playing since she was a freshman, so she's been at this for 3 years, just like Maggie. She came in with a lot of natural ability and has managed to grow each season in her game. Etta's best score as a freshman for 9 holes was 59, and then this year as a junior, it was 48. For 18 holes, she went shooting 132 at the district golf tournament her freshman year to 120 this year. I still feel like Etta's best golf is still ahead of her, which is a little scary because her scores are already so competitive. So like her teammates, some off-season work will propel her game to a whole new level that will not only give her individual success, but will lead our team also to more success. Now to my seniors, Madison Vaith, Maddie Ann. I've had Maddie Ann, I've known her since she was a 6th grader in my American History 1 class, and that's where Maddie Ann came from, so this is a long-lived nickname. She was a hard worker in class, so I knew when it came to golf she was probably going to be the same way, and she was. Although she only played her junior and senior year, her progress was evident. She carded several bogeys and pars this year, shooting her best 9-hole score, 59, in her first home match of the season, with a phenomenal par, which I got to witness on hole 15. Maddie's swing came a long way from the beginning of the season to her last match of the season. She did a really great job of staying on top of her mental game and fighting through the tough shots and bad breaks this season. My hope is that Maddie will continue to play golf after she graduates. Sydney Eisenbeis, Izzy. I think Sydney would have played for me her sophomore year, but was concerned about her lack of experience. She was coming to golf brand new and didn't know if that would work for us. But after some encouragement from her friends, she came out her junior year, and boy, am I glad she did. Coach Mueller laid some great groundwork with Sydney last year, and this year she took her game to the next level. She was quick to understand that when we are making swing changes, we're going to hit a lot of bad shots. Like, it takes about 3,000 to 5,000 swings to make a swing change, and we decided to make swing changes mid-season with her, and she didn't let that discourage her. Instead, it increased her commitment to those changes, and it paid dividends. Sydney's best match of the season was senior night, where she shot 61, a 12-stroke difference from her first match of the season. Sydney's extremely coachable and really wanted to know the ins and outs of her golf swing. I really feel like if I had just convinced her to come out her sophomore year, we'd really have seen what she could have done in high school golf. Like Maddie Ann, I hope Sydney continues to play post-high school as well as throughout her life. Addie Taylor, AT. As Coach Mueller would want me to call her, at. I don't know if I've coached a more mentally strong golfer in my 6 years as a high school girls golf coach. No matter how the round was going, Addie was fighting for every stroke, and neither her demeanor nor her body language ever read defeat. Addie came out for golf as a junior, but she's another player that I wish I could have had sooner. She grew leaps and bounds, not only from last season to this season, but from the beginning of this season to the end. She fought her way out of the JV to be a major contributor to our varsity team this year. She helped cement our 4th place finish at the St. Clair tournament with an 18-hole score of 111, placing 20th individually overall and medaling. In her first match of the season, Addie shot 64, and in her last match of the season, she shot 50. She put in the work outside of practice to improve her game, and it paid dividends for her this season. I'm hoping Addie loves the game enough to continue playing post-high school. Brooke Turner, Brookie. For those of you who are dessert connoisseurs, a Brookie is a brownie and a cookie. It's the best of both worlds. Brooke Turner is not only a good person, she's a good golfer, so she's the best of both worlds. Brooke came out as a sophomore and has grown tremendously in her 3-year tenure on the golf team. Brooke's best 9-hole score as a sophomore was a 54. This year, her best was a 48, which helped us clinch the new school record for 9-hole team score. Brooke's score at districts her sophomore year was 128. This year it was 118. Brooke just didn't ever give up during a round. She's very consistent, and I could always count on her to be in a specific scoring range. She probably has no idea how important that really was to our team. Plus, she is the 2-club challenge champion and the reigning Bingo Bango Bongo champion. Seriously, don't take her up in any of those games because she will come from behind and you will lose. Brooke also made an eagle in our last match of the season on hole 11. Yeah, hole 11 out of the golf course. And again, I got to see it, but I didn't get to see it because we heard it hit the flag and I wasn't sure, and I had a mask and a shield on, and I'm like trying to figure out what happened. And we're like, that go in? And she walks up and she goes, oh yeah, it's in the hole. So that was pretty cool. Thanks for that. Brooke will most likely continue playing post-high school as long as Boston and Sydney do. Boston Williams, B-Town. Boston had the unlucky position of riding shotgun during our early morning van rides. She's nice and says it wasn't that bad, but I'm a morning person. If I'm going to be up, I'm going to make the best of it. So Boston often had to spend the entire van ride talking to me instead of sleeping like the other girls. But Boston got bit by the golf bug this year. I think she liked the game her sophomore year, respected it her junior year, and then fell in love with it this year. She started practicing outside of practice this year, and every time she did, you could tell in practice or in competition. Sophomore year, her best 9-hole score was 70. Junior year, her best 9-hole score was 53. This year, her best 9-hole score was 47. Her consistency improved drastically this season. Her 18-hole scores were probably the most improved. Her district score from last year was a 128, and this year she shot 108, narrowly missing a spot at the state tournament. Like her other senior teammates, I hope she continues to play golf after high school. Ladies and gentlemen, your SGHS girls golf team. Before I go, I have 3 awards I would like to award. The first is the Spirit of the Game Award. Ben Hogan, a golf great, once said, "Your name is the most important thing you own. Don't ever do anything to disgrace or cheapen it." This award goes to an individual who embodies this quote in the spirit of the game of golf. This person has great integrity, great work ethic, great manners and etiquette, as well as a deep love and passion for the game of golf. Her competitive drive for the game increased this year, and she made big gains, even if her scorecard didn't always agree. Her mental game got tougher. Her mental maturity grew tremendously just from the start of the season to the finish. But I'm most proud of how she defended the integrity of the game. Not only does she keep herself honest, she keeps her playing partners and teammates honest. Cell phones are not allowed during competition, and if you're found to be on your cell phone, it's grounds for disqualification. I tell my girls, I beat them over the head with it, that if we get disqualified because of a cell phone, I'm going to absolutely lose my mind. And so they are sticklers on this. However, they complain a lot about other players being on their cell phones, but don't tell me until the round's over and we're on our way home, and I can't do anything about it at that point. I always encourage them, tell the player to put it away, or tell me during the round, or tell the other coach during the round. And then they talk about how unfair of an advantage it is, and I just keep telling them, do something then. So this player told Coach Mueller and I that another player from Jackson's team was on their cell phone during the round multiple times. So we talked to the Jackson coach about it, and she demanded that her own player be disqualified, who happened to be her #1 golfer. So fast forward to the end of the round, and the Jackson coach calls up both her player and our player and explains that her player is going to be disqualified for being on her cell phone, and that our player had notified the coaches, or basically had narked on her. Well, our player was mortified because we played Jackson in every single match. So our next match was going to be against Jackson. I'm not going to lie, that first match after the call out was pretty rough. Our player was second guessing whether she should have said anything at all because she felt like the girls from the other team were being different around her. Though they weren't being outwardly mean or disrespectful, she just felt like they were being different. The match after that, perfectly normal. The Jackson coach was so grateful that our player had enough moxie and integrity to call out a player for something she knew she wasn't supposed to be doing. Our player successfully protected the integrity of the game, and that player is Etta Heller. The next award I want to present is the Most Improved Player Award. This year was unique because this team accomplished so much and grew so much. There was a lot of individual success and improvement in addition to our team's success. However, one individual managed to set themselves apart from the crowd. This golfer played only JV last season and did all right for her first year out. But this year, she fought her way onto the varsity roster. Once she got there, she stayed, helping the team to a 4th place finish with her 20th individual finish in the tournament. Her scores continually improved with each match and tournament, as her scores lowered with each competition. I contribute this to her efforts to get better outside of practice, her coachability, her strong work ethic, and her positive mentality. Like I mentioned earlier, she made a 14-stroke difference from her first match of the season to her last match of the season. This year's Most Improved Player is Addie Taylor. The last award for the evening is the Most Valuable Golfer Award. This was so unbelievably close, as all of our girls were pretty close scoring-wise. The top 8 players on our team all had averages between 53 and 60, just a 7-stroke spread. Ultimately, one player had a lower 18-hole average, 112.3, and the other had a lower 9-hole average, 53.4. Our co-MVPs traded the number 1 and 2 spots quite a bit this season. I've come to expect big things out of both of these players, and they never disappoint. One player is wrapping up a successful 3-year golf career and will be greatly missed. The other has one more year to make gains and help lead this team to more success. Both were instrumental to our record-setting season. Our co-MVPs this season are Boston Williams and Etta Heller. Before I let you guys go off stage, I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you again for a great season. Your hard work and dedication led us to our most successful season in years. You did it. I'm so proud of you. To my seniors, the impact you have had on this program is profound, and it will be here long after you've gone. I will miss you. We will miss you. Underclassmen, the stage has been set, and we've got some big shoes to fill, so let's go make some more noise. Thank you. Love you guys.
Okay, congratulations to our girls golf team on a great season, including breaking the school record for best team score, 9 holes of 189. Congratulations. You guys all have very interesting nicknames. I won't tell you what my nickname was in high school. I like to keep my job. So before we move on to the volleyball part of the recognition ceremony, I did want to do just a few thank yous and a request of everyone here. First of all, thank you to everybody here for, I thank you for coming already, but for those of you who worked a concession stand at all this fall, thank you so much. We certainly couldn't run the concession stands without our workers. So thank you very much if you signed up to do that. With that being said, as you can see up on the side screens, we have the link to sign up for winter concessions. We are desperate. I'm not too proud to get up here and beg. We have 93 slots for winter concessions, and we have 16 of those filled. And we start the winter season next week. So if you haven't signed up yet to do a concession, please go to that website. Honestly, if everybody did one, everybody would only have to do one. We do have a lot of people who thankfully will do concessions 2, 3, maybe even more times a season, and I greatly appreciate those people for doing that because they certainly don't have to. But if everybody did one, we wouldn't have enough slots for everybody, to be perfectly honest with you. So if you could just take time this evening, if you haven't already, to sign up for one date. If your kid plays winter sports or not, that would be fantastic. If your kid does play a winter sport, for example, girls basketball, don't sign up for a girls basketball game because we don't want you to miss that game. Sign up for a boys basketball game or for a wrestling event. If you want to sign up for the girls basketball game, some people prefer to do it that way. Please do, but we don't ever expect you to sign up for concessions and miss watching your kid play because of that. Also, I wanted to thank administration, not only the building administration with Mr. Haney and Dr. Boyd, but also our district administration with Dr. Taylor and Dr. Fleeg. I've always felt as an athletic director in my 12th year that I've been very supported by building and district admin, but this year has definitely been the most difficult for obvious reasons, and it was no different. I've gotten a lot of support, a lot of guidance, a lot of advice, and oftentimes I get compliments, and in all honesty, it's a team effort, and they make me look good. So thank you very much to the admin team. Thank you to our custodians who clean up after all of our events, after you guys leave and the popcorn is spilled on the ground and the bottles are left in the bleachers. They come in afterward and they make our facilities look as great as they are. Real quick story on that. I had an older lady one time at a basketball game. She came out of the bathroom and she said, "Are you the athletic director?" And I hesitated for a second because I knew what was coming, or I felt what was coming. And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And she said, "Well, I was getting ready to chew you out because I thought the bathroom floor was wet. And then I just realized that it was that shiny. So tell your custodians they do a great job." So that was really nice to hear, and it's a fact. Our facilities, because of our maintenance and because of our custodial crews, our facilities are fantastic, whether it's our gym or our football field, our ball fields, our track, whatever it may be. So thank you to them. And after volleyball goes, we'll do our 50-50 drawing, and we'll do our banner drawings before you guys go. So without any further ado, our volleyball coaches are going to get up here and talk a little bit. We're going to start with Coach Ritter to talk about the freshman team, move on to Coach Roth with the JV team. No, you can come on up. With the JV team, and then she's nervous. I can tell. Look at her. She's nervous. And then Coach Basler will finish the night with discussion of our varsity season. So, you're not nervous, are you, Mo?
Oh, my Lord. Let's not talk about it.
Okay. You're up. Good luck.
Unlike Coach McDaniel, I've never had a desire to stand behind this podium, so here we go. Good evening. For those who don't know me, I am Coach Ritter, as the girls call me, Coach Momo. This was my first year as a freshman volleyball coach. I'm going to call the girls up here first. I'm going to start with our manager, Tessa Hager. Is she here? Nope. Okay. I just want to say thank you to her for all she does for this team, JV team and varsity. Our managers deserve a lot of recognition. They put in a lot of work of keeping book and keeping stats for us, so we really appreciate it. Okay. Number 29, Peyton Basler. Peyton was our outside hitter and played some defense. Number 22, Adriana Bennett, also known as Anna. Anna was our one and only setter. Number 33, Sarah Bone. Sarah played a little bit of everywhere. She was always open for change, and I really appreciate that. She played our right side hitter, a little bit of defense, and she also was one of our servers. Number 24, Alyssa Grass. Alyssa was one of our middle hitters and played middle back defense. Number 14, Gwendolyn McClin, also known as Gwen. Gwen was also a middle hitter, and I must say, this was her first year ever playing as a middle hitter, and she did a phenomenal job. Number 16, Kate Misplay. Kate was our right side, outside, and when needed, our middle hitter. That was a good time, right, Kate? Number 27, Riley Murphy. Riley was our outside hitter for part of the season and ended up being our left side hitter to finish the season. Number 7, Hope Schmosley. Hope was our middle hitter and also played middle back defense. Number 34, Sarah Schmieder. Sarah was our right-sided hitter. This year, we finished the season 4-9-3. We took 5th at our home tournament and made it to the gold bracket at the Jackson tournament. Although we didn't finish the season with a winning record, these girls made a tremendous amount of improvement. Our goal for this year was to build confidence and create a more diverse group of players. The girls all learned to be open-minded and how to adapt to change. I could not be more proud of the way the season went and how each individual player grew. We had our bumps in the road, but this group of girls bounced back and showed me, and more importantly, showed themselves what all they could do when they put their minds to it. And finally, I would like to thank Athena McClin for always being that extra hand I needed at times and for always providing the snacks for the girls before each and every game. I also want to thank Coach Basler and Coach Roth for helping me throughout the season and guiding me to be a better coach. I want to thank my fiance for helping me out during those late game nights and supporting me always. Thank you to Regina McDaniel for traveling to every away game and keeping book. Thank you to all the parents for sharing your girls with me. I know this year was a little difficult due to COVID and getting the girls to and from practice, but it is much appreciated. Lastly, thank you to each and every one of you girls. I am so proud of all of you and cannot wait to watch each of you grow. And just remember, when the lights go out, it's okay, right, Anna? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm JV Coach Tyson Roth. If you couldn't tell from some of the rookie mistakes I made throughout the season, this is my first year coaching volleyball. I'll do my best to try and make this short and sweet since I know we're all a little bit hungry and now a little more grateful that meals were provided in previous years for these banquets. I'll start off with my thank yous. I want to thank our sports and media, everybody that helped out in covering the games and taking pictures and everything else and getting them spread out. I want to thank our school, the students in it, all of our fan crowds and everything like that. I want to thank administration. You guys are phenomenal with showing up, giving us the best effort and giving us everything that you can. I want to thank our faculty. I want to thank Dr. Nix for everything he's done. Throughout in the middle of the season, he ended up giving us a tournament where we ended up kind of canceling out of a tournament here and there, and it turned into a last-minute tournament that we ended up joining. So thank you for everything that you've done to help our program. I want to thank the custodians, the managers. I want to thank Regina McDaniel. I want to thank Coach Ritter for being super supportive, and I want to thank Coach Basler for believing in me as a first-time volleyball coach. I want to thank our athletes, and the most important thank you of the night goes to the parents and grandparents. Without you guys, none of this is possible. You've raised phenomenal kids who are super respectable, smart, and just really fun to be around. A few of the goals I like to consider as a JV coach is to have the athletes become varsity ready and to have fun. And I believe we've successfully achieved these goals as a unit. We had a record of 13-6, and we also won the Potosi JV tournament. More importantly, I like to measure success from the athletes off of the court. It's not measurable with numbers, but throughout the year, we gained a lot of mental toughness, we gained resilience, and the value of work ethic. We learned the importance of being a good teammate, doing the right thing, and the power of adversity. To me, that's a winning season. We had a pretty unique year. We had a good mix of juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. It was the first time a lot of these girls have ever played as a cohesive unit, and with the time that we were given to practice with each other at times and the circumstances we were under, I'm very proud of them, and they did a great job. So for us, communication at times was an issue with such a diverse group of athletes. However, more importantly, we stayed resilient and kept working hard. So we're here to honor the athletes and their accomplishments. I'm going to call them up, and I'm going to give them each a word that I believe best characterizes their season. I'm going to start with one who's not here, Haley Austin. Her word was determination. With that, it'll take her far in life, and she has an immense amount of potential. I can't wait till she reaches it. Kylie, the word I gave for her was momentum. My biggest standout for Kylie was our JV game against Valley. It was one of the last points of the second set, and she was playing left side to start. We received, and she went up and had a block, and then she went to the right side, had another block, and then I'm pretty sure she ended up getting a tip kill, but she was just like pumped that everything was working out for once. She rode momentum, whether it was high or low, and just cherished every moment on the court. Lana Kemper, the word I gave for her was commitment. She improved greatly throughout the season, and her dedication towards the sport is something I really wish I could instill in all athletes here at SGHS. She was super dedicated and was always willing to offer a hand or lend help or would just be wherever, whenever. Paige Hook, the word I gave for her was positivity. Didn't matter what the situation was, that she was going to be positive no matter what. She's really the epitome of an all-around great teammate and a person. Allie Byington, the word I started with was a silent hard worker, but I decided to go with humble instead. She doesn't say a whole lot, but she gets the job done, and it's super important to have as a coach and someone like that on your team. Devin Basler. Devin is one of the most smart volleyball players I think I've ever been around, and she's probably smarter than me, and that's okay with volleyball, and I'll accept that. Lexi, the word I gave for her was energetic. There's never a dull moment. If you ever watch some of the in-between plays, she was dancing around and hopping around, and honestly, I love coaching that, and that's okay with me. She loves the sport. Alyssa, she was the utility athlete. It didn't matter when, where, how. She was going to jump in, and she was going to play hard. And having someone like this on the team is super important. She never complained once. Well, to me anyway, she never complained once. She just did what she was asked, and that's super important to have. Hope, my word for you is coachable. It didn't matter what I would ask, that very next play it was coming. Whether it was a perfect set and I just told you, hey, if your set's there, swing, or if your set's not there, she's going to swing anyway because that's just what I told her to do. She's one of the most coachable athletes I've ever been a part of having, so it was super great for someone like her. This was my JV squad. I can't wait to watch this group of athletes grow and become even stronger as a unit, both mentally and physically. Yes, physically, so be ready to lift some weights in this off-season. Off-season work will bring you towards a deeper run into the postseason, and now that I'm a math teacher, I can probably say this and you guys might respect it a little bit more. Hard work plus dedication will equal success, so keep working hard. Thank you for a phenomenal season, and I appreciate everything this sport has offered myself and our athletes. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the Fall Sports Award Ceremony. I would like to start off by thanking many people who have made this volleyball season not only possible, but also very rewarding. To my players, whom I've had the honor of coaching this past season, I don't know if there are truly the right words to describe how much I loved coaching you. You made my first year as head coach one that I'll always value and remember because of your hard work, dedication, love of the sport, and love for your teammates that make me extremely proud and honored to have coached you. Thank you for an amazing season, ladies. I promise I will ush and gush more about our season in a couple of minutes, but I have several more people to thank for helping make this season a success. Thank you to my coaching staff, Tyson and Mariah, for the many hours you dedicated to the younger classmen planning practices, as well as the many hours of watching game film, preparing scouting reports for each and every varsity opponent, taking stats. Your time, energy, and advice has been very much appreciated, so thank you. To our team managers, Megan, Callie, and Tessa, you did a wonderful job this year. You had some odd jobs this year. Thank you for FaceTiming our teammates and players when they were quarantined, so that they were still a part of the team, still a part of the bench, still a part of timeout huddles. I know they appreciated it, and we love seeing their faces. Thank you for sanitizing the game balls between timeouts and sets, for keeping book, and for doing stats. We appreciate everything that you did this season. To Dr. Nix, you've answered so many of my questions, and believe me, there were a lot, so thank you for that, but thank you for getting tickets made for our fans so that they could come support and watch us. I know that was kind of an odd job this year. To Jess Follard, who has helped make the transition of head coach a very smooth one. She has reminded me of several things that needed to get done that I had never realized when I was an assistant coach. She also continues to help out with injuries and tape up athletes when needed. To Tyler from Potential Therapy for seeing our athletes and getting them the right course of treatment to help get them back on the court as quickly as possible. To my husband Kyle, my kids Landon and Holden, to my parents and my father-in-law who have supported me in pursuing my love of the game. Without your help taking care of the boys, coaching could not have been possible. To you parents, thank you for entrusting this coaching staff with your most precious gifts. I am beyond blessed to get to work with such amazing young ladies. Also, thank you for your dedication to the team, with driving to numerous camps, finding ways to get your child to practice, which I realize is definitely more challenging this year, supporting us at games, constantly washing uniforms and neck gaiters, and so much more. Next, I'd like to thank the various media outlets, the Herald, KFMO, KTJJ, Sun-Times News, Ameritime, and the Daily Journal for publishing articles and posting scores, and a huge thank you and shout out to our own SGHS media class and others that have covered our games. This allowed for our fans to watch us when tickets were limited. Thank you for providing the community with such a wonderful service. We appreciate the coverage. To Dr. Smith, thank you for the awesome video board. The girls just loved watching their video. It always helped hype them up before playing a big game. It also distracted them a little bit when I needed to give them the pregame talk, but they loved every second of that video. Thank you to the workers that helped at the games, my line judges Ann Reynolds, Denny Drum, Linda Basler, and Mike McDaniel. The scores table, Kelly Sikowski, and our bookkeeper, Regina McDaniel. You make my life way easier and always willing to help out when needed. It sure does take a village to run a smooth game atmosphere. Now, to bring these amazing young athletes up here to recognize their accomplishments and reminisce about our 2020 volleyball season. And I'm gonna kind of rattle your names quickly, so be ready to move. Okay, so first we have the provisional varsity letter winners. These players have dressed varsity bench and were a part of our journey as a team, but did not meet the requirements to earn a varsity letter. These players, if they earn their varsity letter next year, will then earn this year's letter as well. So I'm gonna start with freshmen, Alyssa Grass, sophomores, Devin Basler and Allie Byington, juniors, Haley Austin, Kylie Clayton, Paige Hook, and Lana Kemper. And now our varsity letter winners. I have manager Tessa Hager, Callie Schweigert, and Megan Abashan. Sophomore, I have outside hitter Tessa Grass. She was second team all-district. Outside hitter Drew Ketting. She was second team all-conference and second team all-district. I have defensive specialist Lexi Palmer, defensive specialist Ari Taylor, and defensive specialist Maya Watts. Juniors, defensive specialist Elizabeth Basler, middle hitter Abby Moore, she was second team all-district, and right side hitter AJ Prudent. And seniors, I had middle hitter Marissa Fleeg, she was second team all-district, setter Brittany Kreitler, she was first team all-conference and first team all-district, libero Macy Reynolds, first team all-conference and first team all-district, and outside hitter Jaden Weiner. Now to our season. We had a very successful season of 20-6, but it's not just our record that made this team successful. I mean, these are truly some talented individuals. But what made this team shine was the fact that they did not play as individuals or play selfishly. Instead, they played for one another like a true team with a lot of heart, not caring about padding one's own stats. It becomes really evident that you have a selfless team when you pay attention to the talk on the bench. When you watch players jumping out of their seats on a big play made by a teammate, and then you hear them say two of my most favorite lines from this year. I won't say them as well as AJ does. Volleyball is fun, and I love volleyball. AJ, would you like to grace them with your words of wisdom? She's good, okay. These are my personal favorites because they're coming from players not in the match at that moment, but rather from the players who are so invested in the team that they don't care who is out at the floor in that moment. So girls, thanks for making this season fun, for your contagious smiles and your vibrant energy. I think I knew that we had a team with loads of potential and not only talent, but in the way that they work together and hustle for each play after our last game at our final summer match against a very, very, very big Columbia Rockbridge. This match set the tone for what was possible with this team. Even though we didn't defeat Rockbridge, and ultimately they sent us home, the energy from the team and how we played together was very telling of what might be in store for this season. For the first time in a long time, I had heard them say that famous line, "I love volleyball," with ginormous smiles plastered on their faces. And I'll never forget Macy sitting down, taking her stinky knee pads off, with this big old grin on her face. And her words were, "I know we lost, but I feel so satisfied." Thinking of these lines makes me smile at how truly wonderful this season was, and it reminds me that not every bit of success can be measured by a win-loss record or a district title. Once season began, the reality of COVID and quarantining presented itself. By the third and fourth game, we had to roll with a different lineup due to this. The team never threw in the towel. They just continued to work hard and play together as one. Once everyone was back, we were able to defeat Cape Notre Dame, who had just won the SEMO tournament. This was a very big win for us. We continued with the winning streak, beating some great opponents such as Park Hills, Farmington, and Valley, and this led us to being first in large school conference and to win first in the conference tournament. In my opinion, we were playing some of our very best volleyball during the gold bracket of conference tournament, which is exactly what we wanted as we were heading into district play. However, our season didn't end the way we thought it would. but I can honestly say that I have never been more proud of them and how they handled adversity at such a critical part in our season. As a team during district time, I think everyone would agree that having your normal lineup, the same lineup that you had just won the conference tournament with, would be ideal. However, COVID stepped in once again and forced the team to face more challenges right at the crucial part of our season. We would once again need a different lineup. Even in a very unideal situation, I never once heard the girls complain or think that winning a district title wasn't possible. They believed in one another, worked hard, played with a lot of heart, and put up a dang good fight. Although the loss hurt, as we didn't get to finish the season together, the girls handled the situation with true grace and like great sports. You are champions in my heart and mind, and I'm so proud of everything we've accomplished together. But more importantly, I am proud of how you've worked together as a team and handled these difficult moments with such class and poise. Girls, I would do it all over again, as I've enjoyed every second on and off that court with you. You are truly amazing young ladies, and I am one lucky coach. Thank you for the constant laughs. If you guys could have been me the moment I walked into pregame talk in the locker room before we played Valley, and you could have seen the players literally on the ground. They were mooing like cows. It was one of the funniest sights I've ever witnessed. Mooing kind of became their thing, right, Macy Moo? Those are the moments I won't ever forget, girls. They've also made me laugh with their terrible, slightly inappropriate dancing, Abby and AJ. Thank you for that. But girls, thank you for loving the sport, loving playing together, and bringing many smiles, electrifying energy to the game, and mostly for bringing pure joy back to the game of volleyball. To you seniors, there will never be the right words to express how special you are and how special you've been to the St. John volleyball program. Thank you for teaching us to work for it, and thanks for leading by example. We will miss you next year, but you have left your legacy behind on how to play and work together as a team. We love you and wish you the best in your future. Now, on to our 2020 medals and awards, and I do want to mention that the awards were voted on by these young ladies. So for medals, for most digs this season, there were 273 digs by libero Macy Reynolds. Most kills with 208, Miss Drew Ketting. The most total blocks with 42, Miss AJ Prudent. Most ace serves with 38, Miss Drew Ketting. Most assists in a season, 715, Miss Brittany Kreitler. The best serve receive percentage with 96.4%, Miss Ari Taylor. The best serve percentage at 95.5%, Miss Brittany Kreitler. Now I'm going to move on to our awards, and there are 5 of them. And again, the players did vote on these. The first one is the Heart and Hustle Award. Heart and hustle is a saying that was said before each and every match. We wanted to be sure that no other team had more hustle or more heart out on that court than us. To win this award, one must always give 110%. When things look bleak, this is the person who's lifting everyone up. This is that positive teammate. This is the person who has sacrificed their body over and over again to make an amazing play of something that seemed impossible. Although several of our players fit this description, and our heart and hustle is what made this team fun and exciting to watch, there were 2 individuals who tied for this award. I understand exactly why the girls couldn't decide between the 2 athletes. Both made plays that seemed impossible time and time again. Both sacrificed their bodies to make something out of nothing. You would see both everywhere out on the court. It was their amazing leadership and hustle that will be missed next year. Our 2 athletes that have won the Heart and Hustle Award are Miss Brittany Kreitler and Miss Macy Reynolds. Congratulations, girls, very well deserved. The next award is Most Improved. So Most Improved goes to the athlete who has shown the most growth within a season. This starts day one of the off-season conditioning to the end of the season. The individual who shows the most improvement has to have a tremendous work ethic, a focus on getting better, and dedication. I can remember early on in the summer this athlete frustrated with her blocking footwork and wanting it to become better. She wanted it to be quicker and more effective. She was willing to put in the extra time and asked to stay after and work with one of our middles so that she can improve on this footwork. This isn't the only time this athlete asked to stay longer or come in before a big game and work on hitting. She worked hard on making her swing consistent this year, and she heard a lot of, "Lift your elbow up." There were times you could see the frustration on this individual's face, but she never threw in the towel, and I think she became one of our greatest offensive weapons by the end of the season. This athlete was really the jack of all trades for us this year. It's a good thing she worked so dang hard and put in that extra time to perfect her middle hitter footwork, as she needed it several times throughout the season. There were several times this season when we had to use a different lineup, either due to COVID or due to an injury. The athlete that was selected as most improved was always the one who we moved around in the lineup because she would give us the best swing or the best block. She grew comfortable in all hitting positions. She typically played outside hitter for us, but twice she moved to the middle and twice she had to move to the right side. The most improved volleyball player for the 2020 season is Miss Tessa Grass. Congratulations, Tessa. I'm excited to see where you will play next year and how you will continue to grow. Thanks for working hard. Our next award is the Offensive MVP. One of our greatest strengths as a team was having a variety of offensive weapons who could put the ball down, and this was often complemented by other coaches. Having many options made it difficult for our opponents to know who to put a block against. There were many nominations for Offensive MVP, and I think that's because we know we have several hitters and options of who could put the ball down when needed. Brittany, our setter, also did a really great job of moving the ball around and getting the ball to multiple players. So our top 4 offensive players averaged between 2.5 and 3 kills per set. We didn't have just one offensive go-to threat, and this did make us a difficult opponent to defend. Ultimately, this year, our offensive MVP did lead the team with most kills with a total of 208. She had a variety of shots with line, deep cross court, and sharp cross, which made her a lethal weapon. Oftentimes, she put the ball down at a critical point in the game. Our 2020 Offensive MVP is Miss Drew Ketting. Congratulations, Drew. The Defensive MVP is our next award. This year's Defensive MVP won't come as a surprise to anyone, as she was unanimously voted for by her teammates. Her hustle out on the floor allowed her to keep balls playable that seemed impossible. What makes someone a great defensive player is their ability to put themselves in a great position to play the ball, to be able to read the hitter's hand and shoulder, and their willingness to sacrifice their bodies for every play. I think this player's bruised hips and elbows show all the sacrifices her body made in order to keep the ball up. It also makes sense to see the Defensive MVP as one of the recipients of the Heart and Hustle Award. The Defensive MVP had the most digs with 273 and the most serve-receive receptions with 358 this season. The 2020 Defensive MVP is Miss Macy Reynolds. Macy embodies everything that a coach wants in a libero. Macy, you've left big shoes to fill next year, and I can't wait to see who steps up. And our last award is the overall MVP. The way I explain the most valuable player to the girls is without this player, our entire season could have or would have been different. And don't get me wrong, we have several individuals that could fit this description, as all of our players are valuable to this team. However, there was one individual who received 90% of the votes, which I think that truly shows the value of this individual. Last year, the team got a glimpse of what it was like to not have her on the floor, and it made for a very rocky season. And although people stepped up, her shoes were just incredibly difficult to fill. So this year, the plan was to keep her healthy so we wouldn't experience what it would be like to not have her out on the floor. With this in mind, we started the beginning of the year running a 6-2 in order to keep her off the front line, hoping to prevent another nasty ankle injury. Now, most players would be devastated to lose playing time from the previous year. However, this young lady was a true team leader and never once complained. She just worked hard no matter what. Near the end of the summer, it became evident that we needed her heart and hustle at all times out on the floor, so we switched back to the 5-1 offense. We were a different team when she was out on the court. She has accomplished a lot this season. First, she broke the 1,000th assist mark, and then just a few weeks later, she broke the all-time school record for career assist. She ended her career with a total of 1,648 assists. She was unanimously voted on by other coaches for first team all-conference and first team all-districts. She did so many things well to help run our offense and deserves credit for knowing who to give the ball to and when. She is leaving very big shoes to fill. She is one of the most humble and hardworking athletes that I've ever had the pleasure of coaching. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the 2020 Volleyball MVP, Miss Brittany Kreitler. Once again, thank you girls for an amazing season together. I really enjoyed our time together. I think we did. You may be seated.
Okay, before we leave, as we sit up here, and I knew this stuff already, and I'm not going to tell you anything that you didn't already know, but you really start to reflect on the end of the seasons, and you realize something that you already knew, just how fantastic our kids are, how fantastic our parents are, and how fantastic our coaches are. Every day I'm communicating with local ADs and local principals, and every time that I talk to them, I'm proud to be the athletic director here because we have great kids and great parents and great facilities and great coaches. And something that you guys don't realize is that everything that you do reflects on the school. It reflects on our community. It reflects on me. And so when I go places, for example, today when I went to a conference meeting, an MAJHAA, that's our middle school conference, when I went to that meeting, I can step into that room with all the principals and the athletic directors, and I can be proud that I'm from St. Genevieve. And it's not because of anything I've done. It's because of the community and the parents and the kids and the coaches. So I've always been proud to be from St. Genevieve. This is my 20th year here, and it's just a pleasure to be the athletic director.